This is the Hold Report for Saturday, January 24th, 2026. The Board of Epstein. While the inauguration of the Board of Peace concluded in Davos this weekend, the security situation in North Darfur has effectively collapsed. Confirmed reports indicate the genocidal RSF are engaged in a genocidal clearance of the Zaghawa and Massalit populations. The International Criminal Court has documented a double-tap strategy previously used in the siege of Fasher, destroying essential water and food infrastructure, followed by the targeted elimination of civilians attempting to flee. ICC Deputy Prosecutor Nazhat Shameem briefed the UN Security Council this week, stating sexual violence is being deployed as a weapon of war. The RSF's operational capacity is sustained by the UAE, which facilitates the transfer of munitions and funding through logistical hubs in Chad. The disconnect between atrocities in Darfur and diplomatic maneuvering in Davos is structural. This weekend, the UAE was formally seated as a permanent member of the Board of Peace. President Trump's new governing body, designed to supersede the UN Security Council, operates on a paid-in capital model. Permanent voting rights are contingent upon a $1 billion entry fee. This transaction effectively immunizes the UAE from punishment for genocide. 1. The buy-in. The UAE finances the destabilization of Sudan via the RSF. 2. The wash. The UAE pays $1 billion to the board, rebranding itself as a guarantor of stability. 3. The shield. The U.S. diplomatic apparatus, aligned with the board, attacks the regulatory body, ICC, rather than the perpetrator. Ambassador Jeffrey Bartas's threat to sanction ICC officials foreshadows what's to come. The Board of Peace is frequently described as a novel experiment. However, an analysis of its executive composition suggests it is the institutionalization of a pre-existing private network, defined by transactional leverage and non-state intermediaries. The personnel governing this body share a distinct historical nexus: Donald Trump. The board's chairman maintained a documented social and professional relationship with the late financier Jeffrey Epstein. Jared Kushner, the architect of the board's Abrahamic framework, continued private associations with Epstein post-conviction. Tony Blair, the board's envoy for governance, appears in Epstein's contact logs and has acted as a bridge between Western capital and Gulf monarchies. Mark Rowan, the board's financial lead, is the CEO of Apollo Global Management. His co-founder, Leon Black, paid Epstein $158 million and was forced to resign. The Abraham Accords, the board's diplomatic template, were preceded by years of back-channel negotiations in which Epstein reportedly acted as an intermediary between Israeli intelligence and Gulf leadership. The Board of Peace has elevated a shadow diplomatic network, one that operated on private islands and in townhouses, to the level of supranational governance. The Epstein model of diplomacy, characterized by the fusion of intelligence, private equity, and moral flexibility, is now aspiring to become the operating system of the international order. Under this management, conflict zones are treated less as humanitarian crises and more as distressed assets. The new Gaza master plan envisions high-end real estate development and privatized security. It is highly probable a similar model is being prepared for Sudan. Once the RSF completes the pacification of Darfur, the region's gold and agricultural assets will likely be securitized and managed by board-affiliated consortiums. The deployment of Carbine, a surveillance firm with Epstein investment origins, as the standard for stability zone monitoring, confirms the prioritization of control over consent. While marketed as a life-saving tool, reports note Carbine's capabilities for broader surveillance, including monitoring Black Lives Matter organizations in the U.S. and flagging phrases like "Free Palestine" in Israel. Carbine has expanded to serve hundreds of public safety agencies, including in over 23 U.S. states. Early backers included Peter Thiel's Founders Fund. The company continues to attract investment, with a 2025 Series D round including participation from UAE-based investors. The board's philosophy is also active domestically. The federal response to protests in Minneapolis, characterized by the deployment of 3,000 agents and fatal shootings of U.S. citizens, mirrors the board's Stability First mandate. Rights are secondary to the preservation of the operating environment. The slaughter in Darfur is not a failure of the Board of Peace. It is a feature of its business model. By accepting the UAE's capital, the board has signaled that genocide is a line item that can be offset by a sufficient deposit. The post-World War II era of collective security has ended. We have entered the era of transactional immunity,